Good afternoon, members. Allow me to welcome you back to our day 2 activity. I'm calling this session to order, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome all of you back for day 2 activities for the TPD Kemi modules, Kemi program. We now have about 57 of us. I have the confidence that the rest will join the call in the course of time. According to today's program, we have the prayer, then the preliminaries, and these preliminaries, today is the 16th. We shall also do, we shall give you a registration, a link in the course of the presentation. And then we shall do a recap of the previous day. We shall attempt the use of a Mentimeter. We shall give instructions on how to handle that. And then we shall brainstorm on what we know and what we want to know about teacher professional development. And then we shall have the Kenyan National Teaching Standards. Then we shall have an assignment on the KEPS standards for instructional leaders. And then we shall engage in other related extended learning activities scheduled for today. Allow me to welcome my co-presenters. I will request that they greet us and perhaps they afford us, they open their video so that we can see who they are. My name is Maurice Akala. I'm the one of the facilitators. Welcome, Daktari and Nancy, please.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you so much. My camera has an issue. It is just been fixed, but I put it on the other time. So I'm sure our participants can recall my face. So I am a SCORE facilitator. Thank you. My name, of course, is Felicitas Matula. So thank you.
Thank you, Daktari Felicitas Matula. Madam Nancy, please.
Hello, good evenings.
Good evening.
I'm Madam Nancy Musembi, and I take this opportunity to welcome you to today's session. And I'm working together with the facilitators to ensure that you have a smooth flow of what you're going to be taken through during today's session till Wednesday, next week, Friday, that is. Others, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Nancy. Madam Nancy is our host based at Kemi. She is a master facilitator for Kemi programs. For now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to request, I can see Sylvia Hakasa, I can see Nyakundi Kwamboka, Evelyn, Madam Nancy, I trust that they are getting me. I'm asking for an opening prayer from any one of them. Should they manage to maneuver the mic?
Kindly repeat the names who and who? I think one of them.
There was, who was that? There was Evelyn Nyakundi and Sylvia Hakasa.
Okay, I can ask Evelyn, can unmute? Evelyn? Yeah, she has unmuted.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Evelyn. Kindly do us an opening prayer for the session.
Let us believe and pray. Mighty and ever-living Master who art in heaven, we come before you this evening. We most sincerely thank you for the gift of life that you've granted unto each and every session. Pray that may you be with us till we finish the session, and all that we're going to learn, we pray that may you enable us to put it into prayer.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Evelyn. I think a little of connectivity challenges they face all of us. I am happy that you've managed to maneuver and give us an opening a prayer for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the order is still as programmed. Last Monday, we registered an attendance that was up to 98 participants. We are optimistic that we shall register the same and perhaps slightly more. I trust you've taken your positions wherever. May I request that Madam Nancy shares her screen for the Mentimeter so that we can review what we learned on Monday. That was our day one.
Okay, good evenings once again. I'll be taking you through a Mentimeter together with the facilitators. That is something which some of you are familiar with, and more so for the primary, they've been using it for the CBC lessons or classes. So I'm going to just take you to have one, and then from there we'll have many as we go through. So Mr. Morris, I'm going to begin on one, and then you tell me whether you're able to see it from the screen.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, what there is, the learners, that is our participants today, you're required.
I want to move the screen.
Yes?
Where?
You can see it.
Not yet, madam.
Okay, fine. So the participants, you can go through the browse in your phones or in your laptops, and then you browse on menti.com. That is MENTI.com. So from there we can proceed. That is menti.com. Are they able to go through? And then they will click on the join presentation.
Yes, participants, your browser is like Chrome, Firefox, or there is Omni, whatever it's called, but whatever you use to browse is where we want you to go. And then you type the word menti.com. After you've done that, you'll be able to interact with what we are just about to present.
Yeah, have they managed to do that? And then I share the screen on what next. So once they click on menti.com, it will bring those selections where they click on join presentation.
Madam Nancy,
yes?
Have you started sharing the screen?
No, I know they will be asking for the code. That is what I want to share with them. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I want to begin sharing something here. Kindly indicate whether it can be seen from your end.
Yeah,
I can see something.
You can see something?
Yeah, what did you learn about TPD?
Yes, I wanted us to brainstorm about that one. But just before we do that, may I share the code? The participants, I want you to open your browser and then you type menti.com. After you type menti.com, you'll be given a number of options on your screen. I want you to select join a presentation, and then I'll give you a code which you'll key, and then you can be able to input on the screen that we are sharing.
Maybe Maurice, you could you could go further and just explain to them how it works before you give that code, so that when they get the code, then they can be able to know how to handle it.
When they key in, when they go to join a presentation, they will have a field. There will be a dialog box where they will key a code that I'm just about to give. The code is 762 527 15.
And I think they can see it, Maurice. It is indicated on your screen.
Yes, it is on the screen.
Yes.
That is the Mentimeter code 762 527 15. Once you input that, you can be able to input on your responses to the questions that we have here. I'm happy that we have participants already giving their input. What did you learn about TPD? Development Teacher Professional. Yes, that is good. They'll put the other way around. Professional Teacher Development. Yes, what did you learn about it? We all have Teacher Professional Devel. I think this one was still typing. A good attempt. We are all learning, ladies and gentlemen, new things, new experiences. This is where technology has brought us, and we are left with no choice but to embrace it. Consists of 3 modules. Yes, that is very good. Consists of 3 modules for teachers, or TPD is a designed program, Teacher Professional Development. Yes, we want to see as many responses. We learn about meaning. Consists of 3 modules, has 3 modules. Teacher Development Professional for teachers. Teacher Professional Development is designed program, Teacher Professional. I want more inputs. Your inputs will tell us that you are making progress. This is good progress, participants. Kindly input so that we can quickly capture and remind ourselves what we learned. Tertiary, you can help me read whatever that can be put together to create meaning.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
So I can see aims at improving teacher. I think they are not finishing, but as you said, we are trying to learn, and we shall be perfect. We are a step ahead because we can use it. Then the
Yes.
other one, certification process, then teachers' growth, involved. Okay, now you are moving very fast.
Now many of them are coming.
Okay, then we have a certification process, then the way they think has 3 modules. Then professional development has formal and informal, and has 3 modules, aims at improving teacher, involves formal, and activities that teachers. Then we have enhances culture of learning. Teacher professional has 3, that is almost repeating what is there. There is professionalism, improving teaching. We have, it's a refreshing course. The other one, we have, it is meant for all teachers. Then activities that teachers, the person stops there. Certification process. Okay, others are not finishing, a bit incomplete, but the rest, I think, Mr. Kala, we are repeating. We are enhances culture of learning. That's a new one. Okay, the other one, to learn new trends. Good. I think so far most of it has been said. Mr. Kala?
I want to trust that at least one or two things can be remembered by our participants, and this is quite good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Now,
sir.
why is TPD important for teachers? The responses are coming to grow professionally. Teachers are able to grow professionally. Teachers are able learning always professionalism, improves skills, professional growth, learning new trends. It makes teachers more informed, capacity building. It's meant to improve on teachers' effectiveness, enhance skills, improve pedagogical skills, teacher capacity building, professionalize teaching, learning always, emerging trend, equips the teacher with the new skills on the new trends, integration on current issues, have proper attitude in teaching and learning, teacher capacity building to grow professionally and climb the ladder, learning on current issues, enhance skills, improve learners' outcome. It makes teachers more informed. It equips teachers with what you wanted to mention, integration. Participants, I think we are on course. We are on course. You are even improving your literacy skill, your ICT skills on Mentimeter. This is a platform you will again use at some other level. We shall use this repeatedly again and again in having responses from your end. So far, I'm impressed. Time now is about 6:24. At 6, I want to trust that we can move on. Allow me to stop sharing the screen because from the responses received, there is evidence that at least each one of us captured a concept or the other. We are thinking in the same direction, and we are indeed moving together as a team. Allow me to request that we stop the recap and get to the next, the first presentation as guided by Dr. Matula. I want to stop sharing. I trust
Thank you.
I'm in agreement with my co-facilitators.
Yes, very much. And thank you so much, Maurice. I just wanted to say that you are right. Like even on the chat, I actually stopped reading because I thought maybe, as Barry says, they could be having some challenges in using Mentimeter. And as you say, this is a tool that we are going to use every now and then. So that's why I wanted people to get used to it. So if we have challenges during the first time when we are using it, we can improve on it. However, even when you go to the chat, there are good answers, like to equip teachers with new learning needs. We have something like support teacher development. We also have just a few, I just want to read a few to show that We are happy because, as Maurice says, each one of us must have picked a concept or so, one or so, and so we are very happy about that. Now, allow me now to start sharing my screen for today.
Okay, Daktari, there is a question there on the Mentimeter.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking, is Mentimeter a working space?
I think that one, Nancy, you can even be in a position, because that's why I had, yes, that's why I really wanted, let's not use the chat, but let's get from people to know whether they can use it or not, and whether they know what it is or not. So please, Nancy, go ahead.
Okay, a Mentimeter is basically used in the classroom to make it interactive and also motivational. It also is something which introduced to class. It can be used for the recap. Sometimes it's for awakening. It's an exercise just to jungle the brain. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yes. Just to add on the same, a Mentimeter is just an interface facility that has been made available for use in providing feedback, especially when we are having meetings with the large groups virtually. Just like Zoom is enabling us to share a call and speak to each other, make projections and learn. A Mentimeter is a feedback tool, to fetch opinions, to fetch responses from a wider scope of participants who are sharing a portal, a forum, a virtual kind of portal. So it's interactive. It has enabled us and enabled everybody to input whatever they have there. It is a facility that we can all use. It is, we have the free version, like the one we are using. We have the versions that are paid for with fairly enhanced tools and facilities. So it is one of the ICT interface modes that large groups can use to share opinions, to share responses on a wider platform from whichever ends they find themselves. So it's found on the Google. Yes,
thank you.
That's okay. Yes.
Thank you, Maurice. I am hoping that whoever asked that question, from what Nancy has told us and Maurice has told us, we can be able to at least to have an idea of what this tool is all about. And so far you have seen that it is quite encouraging. Like, even when you have your learners, you are doing a recap and everybody is writing, and as you are writing, it can be read by everybody. So it is also a motivating tool. You can see people are excited, especially those of us who are using it for the first time. You would really want to use it. Write something so that you can see, is it really written there? Very effective in recapping. Now today, we are on it again, and we are still on TPD, Introductory module. And what we are going to do, we are starting here by defining professional development. Remember, on Monday, we kept on talking about professional development. We went ahead and gave very many definitions. Even right now, when we look at it in the other way, it comes back to the same things. Like now we are saying all those educational experiences that are related to an individual's work is what professional development is all about. So whichever way you look at it, it is just talking about same definition that we gave on Monday. Now, we know teaching people have really a hard argument saying teaching is not a profession, and they have reasons as to why they say teaching is not a profession. Now, one of the reasons which they give, they say we have no license, they say we don't have uniform, they say teachers don't have a language of their own, and therefore, according to them, it is not a profession. And so, alongside now teaching not being a profession, we are saying there are professions we know of. We know to be a doctor, you are a professional. Now, if you are a lawyer, you are. If you are an accountant, you are. If you are an educator, I don't know what that one means. You are. If, in other words, we have so many professions, and these professions, they all would want their members to participate in professional development so that they can acquire new knowledge, they can acquire new values, new attitudes, new skills that will help them to improve in their jobs. Now, most of these professions, and so far, we had been told we are not teachers. We meaning, I'm a teacher. So we are saying we had been told we actually don't belong to any profession. Now, most of these professions, if you like fields, if you like bodies, they always want their members to engage themselves in professional development courses, partly because they know it is a way that their members will gain new skills, their members will gain new knowledge, new values, new attitudes, so that they can improve in their work performance. And more so, they also argue that you see the environment changes, and as it changes, you just be knowledgeable in your field. So if you are a doctor, we are saying we used to cut people like this in surgery. But now we are saying we have new technology that will even make you to cut whatever you are cutting in a very microscopic manner. And so now, how do we get to know about this new knowledge? So they argue you can only do so when you participate in professional development programs. Now, many of them, of course, other than wanting people to go for it, many of them might even say, for you to keep up in this profession of ours, then you have to show the commitment through the professional development program. So people would go because now they are being told by their employers that it is a requirement. If you must keep your job, then you have to go for it. But some professionals will just voluntarily want to go and learn more. Like I'll give you an example. I had a family doctor. I think that family doctor was very smart because you go there, he will tell you, I do not know about this, but please give me time. I want to consult with my friends outside the country, and I also want to read more about it. Now, that is somebody who voluntarily would want to seek this new knowledge so that they become better in their profession. So what have I said? I have said that we have different fields of professionalism or professional, and then they are expected to, some of them are expected that they have to go out and learn more about their profession so that they can keep their jobs. And some of them just voluntarily, I just want to know more. Like now being a teacher, I just want to know more about the teaching profession so that I can become effective in my teaching. Now, what then is the purpose of professionalism? What is the purpose of professionalism? Now, we are assuming you have acquired your knowledge, you have acquired some values, some attitudes, some skills while you are doing your pre-service. But the thing is, now when we want to get you into this professionalism, Now we want to enhance the same. So we already know you have that knowledge. You already know, remember on Monday, now when I talk about yesterday, you just know it is Monday. So I'm talking about what we did, you know, prior to this one. So now we all know that we have that knowledge. We all know we have that. But remember we said that knowledge which we acquire when we go for training, the skills which we acquire, the kind of attitudes that we acquire, the values which we acquire, you'll come to realize that times change. And because times change, then we are saying we are required to have new knowledge, or to also to update our knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes, which we acquired in our previous training. So now in this case, now we are saying we already know you have, but now the purpose of professionalism now is to enhance this knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that you have already acquired, so that you can be able to become a better person in your professional. So now the professional development and building, we also want to build that culture of reflective practice. So now, what is it that I've been doing? What is it? How did I do it? How was I doing it? Was I doing it in the right manner, or I was not doing it the way is expected? So therefore, the purpose of professionalism is to enhance participants' knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values which are related to the teacher professional development, and building a culture of reflective practice as it is required for professional development. If I remember very well, on Monday, we were talking about now specific objectives. We want to inculcate that culture. We want of reflective practice, that this is what it should be. So reflecting every now and then on what you have been doing, so that you can see the areas of improvement. What are the learning outcomes of this particular chapter? You remember we said we have 3 modules, and I'm still going to say it today. Now, these 3 modules, we have one we are calling introduction module, and this introduction module is going to be done by both teachers and instructional leaders. Then we have another module called teachers module. Then we have the other one called instructional leaders module. Then we said these modules have 6 levels, and each level has 5 chapters, So now we are saying this is a chapter that we are handling now. And therefore, upon completion of this chapter, then we are saying our participants will be able to demonstrate certain knowledge and skills. So we are saying they will demonstrate understanding of the linkage between the teacher professional development and their career growth. Is there any linkage? Is career growth linked to teacher professional development? In other words, if I have to be promoted in my area or at my place of work, do I have to do or go through the teacher professional development programs, or I can simply grow in my career without the TPD? So at the end of this chapter, then we are saying we should be you should be able as a participant to demonstrate an understanding of the linkage between the teacher professional development and the career growth. Leave alone that TPD is a process, and that is why I have even said, you see, we have sorry, I'm also saying our numbers are increasing. It also means that perhaps most of us, some of us missed the Monday lesson. Never mind, but as we go on, we shall keep on revisiting 1 or 2 things that we did on that Monday. So we are saying this is a process. It is not that like today you come and sit in class and then you say that is it. Colleagues, as we go on, you'll be surprised that it has been structured in a manner that every 5 years you are going to be doing something until, if you calculate very well, you will be in class, because we said, those of us who are not there, that it is a continuous form of learning. So there is no way at one place we are going to stop. And therefore now we want our participants to understand the teacher professional development process, because it is a process. And a process is not just something that you imagine, I'm just going to do it within a very short time and that is the end of it. So we shall know or show an understanding of the TPD progress. The other way, or the other one, I'm sure we are going to learn about the Kenya standards, the standards which are expected for us to be able to practice the professionalism. And therefore now, you should be able to identify some professional gaps which are based on the competences that we are going to give you. And as you do that, you will now be able to also think about mitigation measures. So these ones are the gaps, and how about, or what is it that we can do so that we can address these gaps that we have identified. So now we are saying those are the 4 learning outcomes that we intend by the end of this chapter, our participants will successfully demonstrate that they have gone through the chapter by demonstrating understanding of the linkage between the TPD and career growth, demonstrating understanding of the TPD process, and also being able to identify professional gaps, which are based on the competences as we are going to give you. And finally, after identifying these gaps, they should be able also to identify mitigation measures that can be used to address the professional gaps. So those of us who are not with us on Monday, so what we are just trying to say is that we have seen what TPD is all about. Now we want to see the linkage between the TPD and the career growth. We also want to ensure we understand the process of TPD. So we are saying it is not just to sit in class for the first 1 year or 5 years, and then we are saying we are done. So now there is a process, and in this lesson, we are going, or this session, we are going to see the process. And then now we'll also be able to identify, when we look at the standards that are expected of a teacher, then we'll be able to identify the indicators and be able to see what are some of the gaps in our profession or in our schools, and then what do we think we can do so that we can mitigate against those gaps. Now, I would want you, and I think this time my co-facilitators, Nancy and Maurice, we are going to use the chat so that you can now let us know what you know about TPD and career growth. And I want to tell you this. One of the learning approaches that we are really going to utilize is called the KWN. Now, K stands for know, and the W is want. Now, L is learn. So now in this approach, what we are saying, we start by getting from the learner what they know about what we want to teach or what they want to learn. And then after telling us what they know, they will now identify for us what they want to learn. So that is one of the approaches even that we are advocating. And so in our training, we shall really use it. So using that approach, and you can see on your screen, it is written You state what you know and want to learn. That is why it is KWL. What do you know and what do you want to learn about the teacher professional development and career growth. So now I just want to, we shall use the chat. We shall use the chat so that you can now say, this is what I know. And then you will also tell us, this is what I want to learn. So want to learn. So what we shall do, it is first of all, what do you know about? They are put together. Teacher professional development and career growth. In other words, what is the linkage? Remember, one of the outcomes we have talked about is that demonstrate understanding of the linkage between the teacher professional development and their career growth. So we shall not look at it singly, as in what I know about the teacher professional development, and then what I know about the career growth. So it is put together. What is it that you know? So once we have written on the chat, then we shall now come back and we'll now be looking at what you want to learn. So now I think, I don't know, but I think we can give 5 minutes for the exercise. Then my co-facilitators, one of you can actually read the chat and we see what you know about the two, put together, the teacher professional development and career growth. And then after we have read what you know, then we would want now you to write again what you want to learn. So now we may begin on our chat this time. On our chat, and as we write on our chat, so it is what you know, what I know about TPD and career growth. What do you know? What do people say? Do they say, for example, the TPD will lead to the career growth, or what do they? So what do you know and what do you want to know? So let's do that. I can see 2 participants have raised their hands, but I think they can also write for us on the chat what is in them, because sometimes they could only just be playing with their microphone to see how to raise their hand. So please, you can put on the chat also what you want to raise. And Mr.
Yes,
Kala, I think
yes, Dr. I think we already have some input coming in.
Thank you. So you can keep on reading.
Career growth is dependent, is a dependent parameter of TPD. It is a long life learning. I will be given teaching license. That's a response from one of us. TPD enhances knowledge and skills to a professional teacher. It makes the teacher to be in touch with the current information about teaching fraternity, making us dependable in society. TPD is a lifelong learning process, enhances professionalism. TPD is an important component of career growth. TPD enhances lifelong learning, will help in career growth, continuous learning process that will definitely develop the growth of the teacher. It is makes the teacher to be in touch with, I think I've read this, TPD is a lifelong learning process, enhances professionalism. TPD is an important component of career growth. It enhances lifelong growth. It will help a career. Okay. I want to learn about 21st century learners' competencies and multiple intelligence of learners. Yes, this one wants many things. Continuous learning process that will definitely develop the growth of the teacher. New skills are developed and kept abreast with the changes taking place globally. Yes, TPD is a requirement for career growth. So we are looking at TPD vis-a-vis career development, and we want you to input on what you feel about the two. Now, TPD enhances career growth. TPD is to make teaching profession where all will be eager to join. It will be a requirement for renewal of license after every 5 years. TPD leads to career growth. A lifelong learning process helps us acquire teaching certificate, prepares ground for handling CBC.
Thank you. In fact, I think we have had enough. Thank you, participants. The only thing is that some of us were not linking TPD to career growth. And again, even if you are linking, tell us how it could actually lead to career growth. But remember, this is what you know. This is what you know. So even if you just knew it the way it is without the linkage, then we are saying that is what you know. And learners, colleagues, you can see this is a very good approach, because now I have an idea of what most of us are conceptualizing the two concepts of teacher professional development and career growth. So I already have an idea, and now I want to know from you. So what is it that you want to learn about the teacher professional development and the career growth? So another 5 minutes, and Mr. Morris, you'll also go through the chat and let us know what is coming up. So you may start, and thank you so much, participants, to participate and make it, part of, to make at least, to break the monotony of just one person talking. So let's see what you want to learn, and we see, I'm sure what you want to learn is what we have prepared for you. So in other words, when you ask me about something, it is like, yes, I know that for TPD, when one goes through the TPD program, it is going to lead to certification. Then after the certification, I'll use it to renew my license. And when I want to go for promotion, of course, you can be sure the TSC is going to ask you, if you have not gone through this, then why are you going for promotion? So it is an avenue for the career growth. Now, this is what I know. But what I want to know, what is it that I want to learn? So that is what you are now putting on the chat. Maurice, please check and see whether there's something
I want to know something about career progression. I want to know how TPD will be of value to the learner. How will the TPD improve career growth? How will it be incorporated? How we can make teaching a unique profession? How TPD will be of value, to learners, I've said that. How it will be incorporated in class? How will I get promoted after this? Is this TPD important to me because I'm about to retire? He's wondering. How will this TPD program be of help to those yet to be employed by TSC? How not to improve, what's that? I also want to know the consequences of not meeting the certificate renewal standards. Okay, that's interesting. I want to learn about how TPD enhances learning process in CBC. Want to enhance management and the pedagogical skills. Will you send assignments, because I missed many things for assignments, please?
Now, those who missed, please don't mix. You have already been told, never mind on WhatsApp, on learning management system, your platform, you will get them. So let's not mix with what we are doing now.
I want to know how it will improve teaching. How will TPD impact on the, okay, the learn, oh, shall we have examinations? Will it be a requirement for teacher employment and promotion? Yes, those are the many questions that we want to know about. Yes. Dr. You can proceed.
Thank you. And thank you. And if you allow me, I think we can proceed. You can see now you have told us what you know, and you have told us what you want to know or what you want to learn. And I can assure you that what most of us have asked, like somebody that asked something which tickled me, I'm just about to retire. And I will make you understand. For those of us who are here on Monday, we said it is a lifelong process. And I was just doing my calculation, colleagues, only to discover that it is structured in such a manner that it will take a whole 30 years. Those ones who would want, I will explain the 30 years as we move on. It is something here on some of these slides. So as we move on. So within the 30 years, you know, these ones are almost like from the time I start my career until when I'm just about to go. And that is why it is called lifelong process. So within the 30 years, you can see this is a long journey. There are those who will alight shortly after we have just started. That is now our colleague who is just thinking about, I'm about to retire. But we shall have imparted in you the skills, values, knowledge, and attitudes to make you become an effective teacher within that short time that you are with us. So it really may not matter. The thing is, when your time comes, just alight from that bus and comfortably go, but you would have acquired the skills, the knowledge, the values, and attitudes that will make you either to be an effective teacher or going to be an effective instructional leader. Beautiful. And I can assure you that as you are talking about what you want to learn, I can assure you that we are going to learn what you want to know, what you want to learn. So now I want us to look at these TPD programs in Kenya. So professionalism, how is it understood? So we are saying it is commonly understood as individuals adherence to a set of standards, the code of conduct or collection of qualities that characterize acceptable practice within a particular area of activity. Then we are saying it also refers to the process of improving and increasing capabilities of an employee. So remember, even yesterday on Monday, when we were talking about it, so we are saying you will be able to acquire and improve. So here it is improving and increasing. So that's what I'm saying. When you, those of us who are here on Monday, when you see the point is put in another way, it does not deviate from what we said at first. So we are just interested in improving, in enhancing, in increasing your capabilities so that you can be either an effective teacher, because this time, you know, we are dealing, it is TPD because it is for teachers, teacher professional development program. So perhaps if it was the doctor's professional development, we'll be talking about DP, D for doctor, doctor professional development program. So now for us, either you are a classroom teacher, we want you to enhance your skills, to equip yourself so that you can be able to be either an effective teacher or an effective instructional leader. Then we are also saying, remember, I have said it is a continuous, it is a lifelong process, a continuous process that we will let people, it is a bus we have boarded, all of us. Some will alight earlier, their stage is just, they are already tired and they cannot walk, they did not want to walk, you know, so they boarded the bus, but they knew the next stage they are going to alight. So now it is a long It is a long process, lifelong process, and we are saying being lifelong, it is continuous, one level to another. Every level has 5 chapters. Every chapter will take a year, and therefore 5 chapters, you can calculate to see how many years we are going to take. So we are saying it is that continuous updating of professional knowledge and improvement of personal competence. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is now your competence, your confidence, they will all be improved by this, because when you go to class, at least you have something new. I'm sure now we know, we may not quite know, but at least we have an idea there is something called Mentimeter. So now, if now you have that, you see, you are improving your own personal competence, you are improving your effectiveness in your teaching, the pedagogical skill, the content itself. So when you go to class, full of confidence, or when you are leading others, you are doing it full of confidence because you know. Then we are also saying these programs, because of the changing environment, and the changing environment, the teacher is in it, the learner is also in it. So because of that changing environment, then we can say the only way you can be effective in your teaching, it is to go through the teacher professional development. So the times are changing. You can imagine, I am not a young person. Those who saw, today I have a problem with my camera, but those who saw me on Monday, I'm not, a young teacher. And so I went to school where technology in teaching was unheard of. In fact, some people were saying COVID would have been too bad, and indeed very bad, like on the economy. But on the other hand, it has brought in something. We don't have to go to West Pokot. We don't have to go to Kitale, but we can actually meet, we share, we interact online, on using the technology. So because of that, we are saying one way the teachers will know how to do it, it is through teacher professional development. So if you are not going to go through this, then you cannot acquire that skill, which is just coming, changing with the environment. You cannot acquire the knowledge. How about the attitude? Mi sijui about the attitudes nasikianga watu wakisema, watoto wa siku hizi wanasema hatupangwingi, you don't have to utupange kwa nini. So now we want to acquire new knowledge, new skills, new values, new attitudes to enable us to be effective in whatever we are doing. We are dealing with a learner that is different from a learner of yesterday. So due to this changing environment, dynamic environment, therefore we are saying that teacher professional development is going to assist us to be effective in our teaching. Now, still the same thing, it involves the career-long processes and related systems and policies which are designed to enable educators to acquire, broaden, deepen. You are acquiring, you are broadening, you are deepening. If you like, you acquire, you enhance, your knowledge, skills, competences, and the whole thing is to effectively perform your work role. So now, why we are doing it? Because we want you not just to be a teacher. And you'll agree with me, some of us, we are just teachers. But what we are saying, times are changing. What we are saying, if we have to be a profession like any other, then we have to go through this continuous lifelong process of TPD so that we can actually, we acquire, we improve, we enhance, we broaden, we deepen, whatever terms we want to use, so that we actually become effective in our work performance. Now, what is the rationale? Why bother with TPD in Kenya? What is the rationale? All through we have even been talking about the rationale. First of all, we are saying, first of all and most of all, we are saying times are changing. The environment is dynamic. We require the skills and knowledge of the new environment that is emerging. So if we require this, then we are saying we must have the TPD program so that it can give us the skills, the knowledge, the values and attitudes for us to be effective in what we are doing. We are also saying it will actually provide teachers with opportunities to explore new roles. If I'm an instructional leader, for example, I know you know there is inspection and there is supervision. I know most of us, like now, for example, the heads of institutions here, most of us, we could be doing inspection instead of supervision. As in, I'm saying, you know, inspection is after just fault finding. You don't have your schemes of work, you don't have your lesson notes, you don't have, but now supervision, more friendly, more democratic, and very supportive in nature. So we will be learning our new role. My role is not to inspect. My role is not just to sit in the office and plan, but my role is to be supportive and be, should be supportive and also give the direction. My role is perhaps that I have, the new roles that are emerging and how these new roles are performed. We are also talking about as an instructor, being a teacher teaching, I will require or I will acquire the new teaching or pedagogical skills. So if this is how, that is what CBC is all about. And in fact, when people say you go, you retrain CBC, it's all about just giving you the approaches of how it is supposed to be done so that it becomes effective. So in this TPD, we shall develop new instructional and leadership techniques. This is how CBC, if I must make my learner to retain what I have taught, if I have to make my learner to enjoy what I am teaching, therefore now I go for the new skills and come to class. And above all, we want to refine our practice and make sure that we have a new outlook as educators and as individuals. So it is not where we have been, but we want to move from point A to point B. I want to look refined. I want, when I talk, I don't leave people asking, that was that a teacher? Where did she train? Or where did he? Because you have sounded like you are behind the new knowledge, behind the new skills. So now the TPD will actually provide us with such opportunities. I learn my new roles. I develop new techniques in doing my work so that I'm effective. I also refine my practice. When you look at me, I am a whole person. I'm not just a person, but I'm that person who knows what is going on, who knows about the changing environment, who knows about how I can make my learner to learn and learn effectively. Now, this rationale for TPD is based on, in fact, I would say some articles. It is also legal, on some kind of legality. Therefore, some of the documents that it is based on is like the Constitution of Kenya. You know what the Constitution is. Section 43, 1F, it emphasizes that education is a human right. And so if it is a human right and we are saying we want to continuously give you this education, so we are doing it because it is a human right. And if it is your right, then you should not be denied. We are also hoping, ladies and gentlemen, remember we have been talking about, new skills, the values, the attitudes. We are also hoping, we are also changing this attitude of saying, is it just coming to sit to class because you want us to sit in class? Because Nancy wants to punish us. So we also want to change that attitude and just tell you, just enjoy it. If it is a human right, then just like you have a right to live, and therefore you have a right to education. So since this one is a continuous lifelong education, then now we are saying as you are right, we are going to offer it. The other one, in Vision 2030, under the pillar, under the social pillar, Kenya aspires to be a knowledge-based economy country. If it is knowledge-based, then how then dare we just sit and then we don't want to bother about what is happening in the environment. We don't want, so now it is not, if we must make it knowledge-based, that means people are knowledgeable. And you and me can agree with me. Like our learners, even us, somebody has already asked us, are we going to have examinations? You know, that fever. Somebody has said on the chat when Mr. Morris was reading, so you could hear that. So we are saying we do not just want to think about exams, but we are saying we want to be a knowledge-based. We want to be knowledgeable. You know, it feels so good when you come to me and you cannot challenge me in my area of specialization, because I belong to a knowledge-based economy, and therefore, or country, if you like. And therefore now I go out to look for knowledge. So the TSC has given us that opportunity, so that now this Vision 30 under that pillar, where we aspire to be a knowledge-based economy country, we shall be part of it. So that we are knowledgeable, we have enough skills, we have the values required of us to be effective, the attitudes required of us to be effective. And so it makes us really to be part of that knowledge, a knowledgeable country. Then we also have the Basic Education Act. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just telling you some of the articles that really justify the fact that TPD is something that we have to embrace. So we also have the Basic Education Act of 2013. I'm sure most of us have had a look at it. If you have not, now that we have decided we'll be part of the knowledge economy, then we shall go and look at it so that we can see what it's talking about. So part 4 talks of free and compulsory basic education to all learners. Free and compulsory basic education. So it is, first of all, for you to make it compulsory, then it has to be free. And now that we have this, then we need people who are knowledgeable to go and handle these learners, so that now we can have quality education for them, but not just talking about free and compulsory without going to get the very high quality education that is required. Then number 4, we are talking about global trends. So continuous professional development is the best practice for professional growth and therefore career growth. So now in all global trends means it is globally acceptable, that it is a best practice. If I am a professional, you can imagine a doctor who says, go give that capsule. You know the one that is yellow, it has 2 colors, yellow and maroon. You know, you cannot even be able to say the name of the that particular tablet. And so we are saying the best practice is just be knowledgeable about what you are doing. Be knowledgeable about who a teacher is. Be knowledgeable about the standards required of a teacher. Be knowledgeable about the environment, how the environment is. So the global trends of talking about the best practices for professional growth is one of the reasons as to why we have to join the globe in practicing that. Then we have what is called the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly SDG number 4. And this one deals with access to quality education through quality teaching. Remember, the professional development is all about the acquiring, the imparting, the enhancing of knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes to make us effective either in our teaching or in our instructional leader role. Therefore, if now the SDG number 4 is dealing with access to quality education through quality teaching, we shall not have this quality teaching minus now the professional development program. So it is one of the reasons why therefore, or a rationale for the TPD. Now, the other one is the 21st century demands. What you have to know is that in this century, learners they have so many problems, issues, challenges, name them. These ones, the teachers must prepare also, so that you see, if we are saying this is not the learner of yesterday, you tell the learner now kneel down, it is like, tell me the reasons why you think I should kneel down. It is not that one who would say, yes, sir, and will kneel down. So now, because of the many challenges confronting this learner, they can be cultural, they can be economic, it can be because of technology. Then we are saying teachers also must prepare adequately for these learners, so that the learners can actually be, the teachers can actually be able to help the learners to navigate through those challenges. So if you are just a teacher who is not told things, like I'm sure even if you went away now, you'll know why it is important for us to do, the TPD. And therefore now, you are not just the way you were before you came to the class. Now, also, we have legality, which is just like the same thing. Legality simply means by law. By law, it is something that we should have, or by law. What does the law say about the TSC? So you can see, like, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, it has establishes Teacher Service Commission as a constitutional commission through that article of 237(1), with an exclusive mandate on teacher management. You know what exclusive mandate is? We are supposed to manage the teachers. So how to manage the teachers? And we want to assume that we are not developing them equally. We are not giving them new skills. We are not giving them new knowledge. And yet we expect them to perform. Then we are lying. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, somewhere, someplace, you'll be asked, if you apply for this promotion, you must show that you have attended the TPD. You are part and parcel of this process. Then we have the Teachers Service Commission Act of 2012, Section 11E. It also mandates the Teacher Service Commission to facilitate career progression, listen to that, and professional development for teachers in the teaching service, including the appointment of head teachers and principals. So you see, it has mandated the TSC. If you are saying, like some people who are saying, it is not the mandate of the Teacher Service Commission to start saying that they want to develop teachers. But now we are just reminding you, you go to Constitution of Kenya 2010, you go to TSC Act 2012, you move on and go to the Act, the same Act, TSC 2012, Section 35. It also mandates on teacher professional development, is applied in the Act that states the Commission shall take all necessary compliance with teaching states to ensure that persons in the teaching service comply with the teaching standards which are prescribed by the Commission under this Act. And this evening, we are also going to look at those standards. So now it is also them to ensure all necessary compliance, that these standards must be complied with. Then we have the same Act 35(1)(a) and (b) of the Act that states that the Commission also requires every registered teacher. So you have to undergo the career progression and professional development. Then again, the same section requires every registered teacher to take out on a teaching certificate as prescribed by the regulations. So how will you get this certificate? How are you going to undergo this or undertake the career progression without the teacher professional development? And the Act says very clearly that all registered teachers must do that. Then we also have the Code of Regulations for Teachers, Section 48, that says every teacher must undergo the same thing, professional development. The Commission must approve the training institutions, and also the approved institutions will issue the certificates. In other words, you see now the TSC has this mandate. That is what we have seen. And now what the TSC has decided to do is to look for service provider. So we have Kemi, that is us. Then we have Riara University. We have Mount Kenya University, and then we have KU. So this one, it is now, this section states that they will undertake the professional development years, and they will also approve training institutions. So it has approved Kemi, Mount Kenya, then we have KU, and we have Riara University. And these approved institutions will give you the certificates on completion of this particular program. Then it is the same thing when they successfully complete a professional teacher development program under Regulation 48 shall be issued with the teacher certificate. That is true of the commission. Now, coming back to the same thing that we did, those of us who are in on Monday, we still say it is a lifelong learning program. And this lifelong, now the framework, the TPD framework itself, it is organized into 6. This is where I was saying, if you do your calculation, you will see whether you are there only for 1 year, but it is structured in such a manner that it will take up to 30 years. You can imagine if it takes up to 30 years, it means that is a whole, your career life. So it is organized in 6 competence levels. So there are 6 levels where each level has 5 years to complete. And what does that mean? It means, first of all, the 6 levels have 5 chapters in each level. And therefore, every level will take 5 years to complete. As in, every chapter takes a year. And therefore, every level takes 5 years to complete. I don't know whether I'm too fast. A lifelong learning program. You can imagine I have 6 levels. Every level of 6 has 5 chapters. And every chapter takes, so you can now calculate. So each level will take 5 years to complete. That means every chapter, every year. And at the end of every level, successful teachers will be awarded certificate for renewal of their teaching license after every 5 years. You can imagine. So every 5 years, you have a certificate, you go, you renew your license so that you can continue being in service. And now we are saying the TPD programs will be undertaken as follows. So you can see the teacher initiative. In other words, we have 2. We have 2 ways. So one of them is that we have the teacher initiated, the school-based, where we have the instructional leaders doing it, developing their teachers. And then we have the TPD prescribed modules, which we said on Monday, there were 3. So we have introductory, we have teacher module, and then we have the instructional leader module. Then at school level, I have already said the instructional leaders are expected also to plan a school-initiated TPD under their supervision. How is that done? You just customize and say that nationally, this is what we do, and this is what we would want our teachers to do. So you don't just leave your teachers there. If you realize, remember the environment is dynamic. So there is this something called Mentimeter. So you look for a facilitator, call your teachers. That is part of the instructional leaders initiated TPD, initiated at the school level. And then at the national level, we are saying now this is where we are going to have what we are having, the teacher professional development programs, as the commission is going to prescribe from time to time. And we are also saying that commission has accredited the service providers that I have said. We have KU, we have Kemi, and then we have Mount Kenya, and we have Riara University for this particular professional development program. So what we are just saying, we have 2 types. So it can be done at the school level, and that means the instructional leader plan for such activities for their teachers. Then we have the national level, like what we are doing now is the national level. Then we are also talking about teachers will require a certificate, and this certificate is going to be renewed after every 5 years, and which means when you complete a level, you are given a certificate. When you go for another one, you are going to be given a certificate. And so you can see how many times you are going to renew your teaching license. So after completing the professional module level, that means you are either a level, the teacher's module, or you are talking about the other one. So now we can say you are eligible for recertification and also eligible for promotion. So now I'm also answering the fact that some people are saying, how is it going to help me? So you can see recertification and also promotion. So you can see the career progression guidelines are actually anchored on these modules that we are going to give you. Then we are saying training will also enhance. So what is it going to do? Remember, we talked about enhancing, broadening, deepening, imparting. We have talked about also improving. So it will also enhance teachers' knowledge skills in order to address the gaps in teacher professional teacher performance and appraisal development, TPAD. So any gap which is there, so this training is going to enable us also to be able to address that. I'm sure we, especially the high school teachers, I don't know about the primary school teachers if they have the TPAD, but I'm sure most of us understand what TPAD is all about. Then they will also keep teachers informed, enable them to improve their pedagogical skills and acquire new relevant knowledge in their teaching areas. That is what we have been saying all through what TPAD is going to do. So teachers will be informed, teachers will improve their knowledge, their skills. It can be knowledge in the pedagogy, how to do it, in the content, and so on and so forth. Then the purpose, objectives, principles, outcomes of the teacher professional programs. So we are saying the purpose, just what we have been saying, continuously equip, improve teacher skills, improve their competencies, how to do things, improve their knowledge. And all this is for enhanced learning outcomes in Kenyan schools. If you like, quality learning in Kenyan schools. We also want to broaden objectives of TPD. That is now we are looking at the purpose of the teacher professional development. And this we have already covered most of them. Improve the quality of learner achievement. So it is the same thing over and over. Revitalize the teaching profession and foster renewed commitment to the profession's inspirational role in economic development. So what we are trying to say is that, it will renew your commitment to your profession. Now it is going to make teaching not to be questioned. Is it a profession? Is it a semi-profession? Is it an ideal profession? So we shall renew our commitment and people will actually see that it is a profession. Then to contribute to autonomous responsibility, confidence of the teaching profession. So we are supposed to be autonomous. We are supposed to be independent so that people can not start saying, no, we are semi, we are what. So to contribute to that autonomous responsibility, confidence, it is good to have the TPD. Then to enable the profession to reestablish its professional standing and role in advancing societal needs. So you see now we lost it at one time. We have lost it. Are we professionals? So now we want to make sure we re-establish our professional standing and stand up very clearly, like when you are rebranding and say, yes, we are a profession. And therefore, if we are a profession, we belong to a profession, we are professional. So we are just simply re-establishing our professional standing in the society. Then now again, it is to keep in touch with current educational thinking in order to maintain and develop good practice. So don't think of yesterday, now think of the changing times. So this current thinking, educational thinking, we want to be in touch and be part and parcel of it. Then we also have to give critical consideration to educational policy, in particular how to raise teaching standards and quality. You know, if you are not learned, if you are not keeping in touch with what is happening, then we cannot even question the educational policies that are just tabled before us. So we accept them without asking how. But when you become a professional, you know, you are knowledgeable, you have the skills, you have the competences, you have the values, you have everything, so you can be able actually to give your critical consideration to these policies of guidelines that we are given. So now, I was telling the people we were with on Monday the difference between an objective and the outcome, and we all agreed when we talk about an outcome, I am actually talking about what I expect my participants to successfully do at the end of this. So what are the general outcomes of the TPD? The general outcomes, what we expect after successfully going through this, what happens. So we are saying we have had studies that have suggested that the general outcomes and beneficiaries of TPD are the teachers themselves, their learners, heads of institutions, and the entire education system. It's self-explanatory that when we become knowledgeable, competent, we have all the skills, we have all the values, it will benefit you. The question is how. It will benefit you because of your career progression. There's nothing as bad as when you are mark timing. You know, you started working as in job group L, and you are still, no, you now moved to M because M is automatic after 3 years, and you are still in M, and you are thinking of 2 years to retire. You started working as a P1 teacher, and you are still P1, and you are going to retire as a P1 teacher. So now, for your own personal growth, professional growth, you as a teacher, you will benefit from it. Now remember, when the teacher is smart, indirectly, you are effective, but we are aiming at this learner. So the learners are also going to benefit with quality education. The heads of institutions will also benefit from that knowledge, values, attitude. But at the same time, when their teachers are knowledgeable, so it might be easier for the heads of institutions to carry out their leadership roles without many problems. And then generally, we are just going to say the education system as a whole. The education system as a whole will also benefit. So now you can imagine Professor Magoha does not have issues. Teachers are well conversant. Teachers are confident of what they are doing. Teachers are competent, and especially with this new CBC. So we are saying that the outcomes of TPD will not only just benefit just one cohort, but we have teachers, we have leaders, instructional leaders, we have the learners, and more so, we have the education system as a whole benefiting from it. However, the general outcomes of the teacher professional development are as follows. So first of all, it results in a wide range of professional education and learning opportunities which are available for teachers, and it is simply to foster their individual, collaborative, professional growth. So we will foster our growth through it. Provide these learning opportunities for teachers which have the potential to enhance learning and performance. We want to reaffirm teachers' commitment to the teaching profession through furthering the development of their professional knowledge, values, and so on. And then it results in teachers engaging in ongoing professional learning, reflection of the purpose, and professional growth. So now you keep on reflecting. Yes, before this, what was I doing? How was I doing it? Was I effective? Am I now better? Can I now engage in a better way than what I have been doing? The specific ones, ladies and gentlemen, is just exactly what we looked at on that first day. But for the sake of those ones who are not in, we are saying it will include, inculcating a culture of lifelong learning for teachers. You know, Kenyans, once we have just done exams, we have passed the exams, so what else? So when I ask you now, I taught you this unit. What did I say? Like now, for example, I've taught you TPD. If I don't keep on talking about it, and I ask you after some time, you'll say, yes, I remember it was something. Now I'm asking you what it is. And now you tell me, it is teacher professional development. You can see, you have already forgotten. You are only telling me in full, TPD is teacher professional development. But then with this TPD, we want to put a culture. That's why I said it is a lifelong learning process where we are saying from one level to another. And throughout your teaching cycle, you'll find that you are on it. You are on it, moving on and on and on. And so now with that, we are putting in you a culture of that lifelong learning. In other words, you now just know, like now I've prepared you psychologically. This thing, the levels, the 6 levels, I have just prepared you psychologically that they will actually take you about 30 years. And if it takes you about 30 years, that is the entire, you know, the 6 levels, about 30 years. That is the entire teaching career that you have. So it is lifelong, and therefore we are saying we want that culture, the culture of learning continuously being inculcated in us. Then we have also talked about personal professional growth for teachers and instructional leaders. So personally, you'll actually grow. You'll grow. When I'm promoted, I also benefit because what I never used to afford, I can now afford. And professionally, I'll move from one level to another. In terms of now, I'm progressing. I was in job group M or M. Now I have moved on to N and so on and so forth, simply because of this. Remember, I have said somewhere, or if you didn't hear, that your promotion, if you somewhere, the TSC will also have to know whether you have gone through this or not. So now it is for your own professional growth, for your own personal growth. The other outcome, it is also building the capacities of teachers and instructional leaders as action researchers in their practice. So we want you, you know, when you keep on learning and knowing what is happening, learning about new skills, learning about the new dynamic environment, you'd also want to know what is there, and therefore you go for this action research. You make conclusions of what action to take after you have actually really researched on the same. Then we want also to make teachers to be reflective practitioners of saying, yes, I did it like this last year. Can it still be done the same way? Or there is a better way? And if you keep on putting in you that culture of learning, then you discover that when you reflect on what you're doing, then we are saying, now this one is a better way than the other one. Then we have establishing or enabling teachers to enhance knowledge, skills, and attitudes in their subject content, as well as in their methods, ways of doing it. The methods, that is pedagogy, and also in the subject content. So with the TPD, of course, we expect the teachers will enhance the knowledge in both the content and methods of doing it. Then we have enhancing teachers' knowledge attitudes in their role as instructional leaders. So for a teacher, in your content and in your pedagogy. For instructional leaders, your knowledge, skills, and attitudes in those leadership roles. And then finally, building capacity of teachers and instructional teachers, competencies in the 21st century skills. So we are saying the skills in that other century are not the required skills right now. So we'll be able to build your capacity so that you as a teacher and as an instructional leader, so that you can have competences to be able to sail through the challenges of the 21st century. Remember, we said the learn of yesterday is not the learn of today. The learn of today has several challenges, and therefore we require the teacher who is prepared to see through these learners through this, to see the learners through the challenges of 21st century. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can pause with this activity. Nancy, are you on board?
Yes, I'm available, Daktari. We could give them a breakout activity.
Yes.
Or something.
Can you? Are you seeing what is on the screen, Nancy?
Yes, I'm seeing it. Though the font is kidogo. Is it possible for you to increase on your right hand side toolbar? You increase. You just click on the plus at the bottom.
To the bottom. So
yeah,
okay,
you click on the plus.
Yes. I hear you, Nancy.
Wonderful. Good. Yeah. Tena. Yeah, good, fine. Iko sawa sasa.
So can you kindly, Nancy, take us through that activity? You know what you are just going to do this, you can put them in break way room, and then now when they click here, they will be able to have the student to read something on the cause of the student unrest in school. So that now the activities here identify some issues mentioned in the article that could suggest the need for continuous professional learning by a teacher. So they are supposed to click on that link. Nancy? Have I lost Nancy?
Breakout rooms.
Yes.
They have some questions you could give them and then discuss. Or the other alternative, because you have the rights, I cannot click on it because you are the one who is screen sharing. You highlight on the HTTP, whatever, you click on it and then you put it on the chat. Is it possible?
Let me
you
see.
Copy it. Yeah, good.
And if
good.
If it is not possible, then we shall...
Just try, let's see. Weka kwa chat, you copy.
Let me copy.
Yeah. On the right hand side. Good. Copy.
Okay.
Yeah. A book click on the chat.
Then I have clicked on the chat. And then now you want me to copy it
on the chat.
Here.
Yeah. You paste it now.
I paste it.
Yeah.
And there we are, ladies and gentlemen. So if you click on it, then we shall be able to get to identify some of the issues the article has mentioned.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
So I get them into the breakout rooms.
Yes, where you are putting them automatically, isn't it?
Alafu.
Yes.
With what you've copied, try and paste it on the right-hand side where there is typed message here on the chat. On this chat.
I thought I did.
You have copied but not pasted. You've not pasted.
No, I did. But what I did was not to send.
Okay.
So now I have sent it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Now they can individually click on that.
Yes.
And then now I put them on the breakout rooms.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So participants, please do that. That. And I think we'll take the shortest time possible because we are actually going to 8.
Yeah. So how many minutes do I give them?
Just give them even 5 minutes because 5 to 10 minutes. Because
around 10.
I can see we are going to 8 and we have a whole standard to look at.
So let me give them
kindly.
Okay, fine. So participants, you're going into the breakout rooms where you're going to discuss the cause of student unrest in schools. So you'll come up with the ideas and then Dr. will be going around in the groups to see what you're doing. And then once you're also in the groups, you could also have a representative who could be controlling you, that is as a team leader. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to do that and give you 10 minutes. Will be okay.
Thank you.
So when that prompt of the join the room comes, please click on it.
Nancy, please, for the purposes of time, I don't know whether, because we are just to identify some issues which are mentioned in that article that will suggest the need for continuous professional learning by a teacher. So now, can we have, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether I have, is Mr. Kala in the room? We are still returning, I can see.
The other alternative is Daktari.
Yes.
You copy it and have it on the browser.
Okay, Nancy, I think I don't even want to go that way because I think we are running out of time also because it is some minutes past 8 and we still have the Kenya, teacher professional standards competence to look at. So which might also take us some time. But ladies and gentlemen, as people are still coming in, is Maurice with us in the room? Maurice?
Okay. Let me check. And then I could also post for screen share with them some of the assignments. Once you're ready, you can tell me.
Okay. So let me just, ladies and gentlemen, what we are saying, maybe that link, we could open it, but because we also want to look at the Kenya Professional Teacher Standards, so I'm feeling that if we go, we click on it and we start. So the issue is, please try to click it during your own free time. Just get the link or write it down. Then you can read that article and then you identify some issues which are mentioned in it that can suggest there is need for continuous professional learning by a teacher. So due to time, please pardon me that we may not be able to go that way. Now, what we want to do now is what we are calling the Kenya Professional Teacher Professional Standards. And as usual, just within a minute, because Maurice is not with us, Nancy, please. So you will just navigate on the chat and please try to see what they are saying. So on those standards,
is there? Let me call it. And
yes, Doctor, I think I'm finding my bearing back. We stopped. Kindly navigate for me because unless you stop sharing so that I start, but ideally we are supposed to begin on the Kenya Professional Teachers Standards.
That's what we have said.
Yes.
So what do you want? Do you want to stop sharing and you share?
Yes.
Okay, sawa. So let me do it. I think that will take us 30 minutes because I've realized we are a bit behind the schedule. So I've just given the assignment. They can click, write down that link. Then they'll click on it and identify some of the issues that will actually require that we have to go through the teacher professional development program. So thank you.
I don't know whether you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
So ladies and gentlemen, we've had an activity, but we were trying on another approach that did not really go well. We shall give it an attempt next time. I'm sorry because I got off for a while. I've had to relocate. Now we will have the Kenya Professional Teaching Standards. For us to be a profession, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely require to have elaborate standards in place. And once again, very quickly, I want us to quickly state what we know about Kenya Professional Teaching Standards. And then we shall again quickly run through what we want to know. Here, I'm giving a minute for each activity. So what is it that we know about the Kenya Professional Teaching Standards, which we are abbreviating as KEPTS? Using the chat box, ladies and gentlemen, kindly input. I just want about 2-3. If all of us inputted at once, it will take us 1 minute only. my colleague on the other end can help me read the inputs so that
I can start doing that. So somebody has said there are 7 standards. Another one has said, please, I experience network problem. I will leave you colleagues for some time. So that is not part of the assignment. Then another one is saying there are 5 standards nowadays. So they are not 7. So we are being reminded there are 5 standards nowadays. Yes, another one. Any other person? There are 5 teaching standards. Then 5 standards. Again,
we can for now take that as what the participants know. What do they want to know for this very purpose? What is it that you want to know about this Kenyan professional teaching standard?
And what can you also write on to 82? What are standards? Now this is what they want to learn. How will it assist me as a teacher? How will the standards assist as a teacher? Then any other person, or we move on. We assume that that is what people, I want to understand the teaching gaps. Somebody says that. I want to know how to get gaps from the standards, how to get the gaps from the standards, and then collapse of guiding and counseling. Then I want to know how can be effective, how can be effectively applied. I believe that is how can the standards be effectively be applied. And
yes,
then,
yes, Doctor, I think that is sufficient for us now.
Sufficient enough, good. So you can move on.
Yes, somebody says KEPs are the right attitude, skills, and competencies a teacher should have. Quite good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the input. It will give us the general guidelines on how to engage in this activity. Now, ideally, ladies and gentlemen, in order to maintain the teaching standards that are required by the registered teachers in Kenya, the TSC has come out with the very, very specific professional teaching standards, which I mentioned, KEPs, and competency indicators to measure a teacher's performance. When do we say that indeed you are doing well, you are not perhaps you are below the expectation, you are above, you are meeting the expectation, or you have exceeded the expectations far as the standards are concerned? When do we say you are meeting the standards? When do we say that you are not meeting the standards? That is exactly the concept that wants to be made clear, so that we are operating within the standards that are required. Now, the standards defined, somebody asked what standards could be. They actually define the work of Kenyan teachers in the context of the 21st century learning. Of course, by setting high quality and effective teaching expectations that are meant to improve overall learners' achievements. Now, we are not going to measure ourselves along the 19th, the 20th century standards that used to be there. We are going to upgrade our standards such that they are in line with the 21st requirements, the 21st century environments, and of course, the 21st century teaching experiences that we expect to impress. The KEPs ideally are meant to provide a consistent and supportive framework for measuring effectiveness of teachers and instructional leaders against very specific competency indicators, very specific measures, very well calibrated a kind of tool that can give a consistent feedback on indeed which standards or which level of standard is being attained. We have 7 standards according to what we have here, which we are going to base on and defining our KEPs as a country. Now, I want us to look here very fast. We have those standards that are designed for the teacher. We have the standards that are designed for the instructional leader. I will quickly go through this in the interest of time. The first standard, of course, for the teacher, he should promote professionalism throughout the career. We've said that again and again. That's a measure, it's a standard. Are you doing this or you're not doing it? Then if you're doing this, you are within, of course, you are meeting the standard. If you're not doing this, then you're not meeting the standard. So for the teacher, they have to have that continuous professional development all through their career. And for the instructional leaders, they should take a lead in promoting professionalism throughout their career. So they will take a lead in a school setup, encourage everyone else to engage in the same, as they also pursue a professional development through the career. The second standard is the teacher must have pedagogical content, knowledge, and understanding of competency-based curriculum and how to implement it. Do you understand? Do you know about? Do you practice the pedagogical strategies in as far as the CPC curriculum implementation is concerned? That will be a standard on its own. And then for the leader, he will have to take the lead in developing school vision focused on high quality instruction and learning rooted in competency-based curriculum. That is the standard for the leader. Number 3, the teacher must know how to conduct assessment and reporting. That is key, and we shall again learn about it later in the module. And for the instructional leader, they must take a lead in creating an environment that promotes assessment and reporting. So the leader is generally providing supportive and supportive kind of service to the teachers who are under them. Number 4, the teacher's standard is to know how to create and support inclusive and collaborative education practices. Inclusivity in education is very crucial. It's found in many of our policy documents, and it has been identified as a key standard for the teacher. And for the instructional leader, he should take the lead in developing a collaborative professional learning community. Number 5, for the teacher, they should know and promote comprehensive school health and safety practices. For the leader, he should take the lead in promoting comprehensive school health and safety practices. For the teacher, number 6, they should know and promote the instructional leadership and administration. For the leader, they should take the lead in building a positive, inclusive learning environment. Lastly, for the teacher, he has to know, he must have knowledge of financial literacy skills. And for the leader, he has to take a lead in financial literacy skills that relate to education and educational institutions. Now, I want us to conceptualize these standards because we shall make a fallback to the standards repeatedly. And of course, we shall require to undertake some activities that will enable us to develop a plan to measure and evaluate the various standards, whether we meet or we do not meet the various standards, and so on and so forth. So these standards are very key. They define the Kenya professional teaching standards as we want to pursue them. Now, the KEPs for teachers and instructional leaders recognize the key role played by the two categories of implementing education policy and making quality learning a reality. And they express the expectations of an individual who is entrusted with the task of supporting learners, learning in all primary, post-primary learning institutions across the country. So these standards will be the measures that the teachers and the instructional leaders shall be rated against as they undertake whatever they pursue in the various learning institutions. Here, we have an activity where we are asked to identify one KEPS standard and discuss what we will look for to determine whether a teacher has attained the competencies in that standard. Identify one standard and discuss what you or anyone else would look for to determine whether a teacher has attained the competencies that are contained in whichever standard that you have developed. The standards are as projected on your screen. Perhaps just to pick on one standard. Standard number 2 has pedagogical content, knowledge, and understanding of competency-based curriculum and how to implement it. For example, if we picked on that and with our activity in question, which are the standards that would define, which are the competencies that would define that standard? And how will you determine whether a teacher has attained those competencies or they have not attained? I think using our chat box, we can have an attempt on this, and we input on what we would indeed look for, or rather how we would determine whether a teacher has attained the various components, competencies in that standard or not. The standard of knowledge and where is that? No, where is that? That was standard number 2. Sorry, that was standard number 2. How can we tell that a teacher has pedagogical content, knowledge, and understanding of competency-based curriculum, CBC, and how to implement it? How would we know that? What are we supposed to observe? Kindly input on the chat box very quickly. I'll take 2 or so. Dr. kindly help me read out. Through lesson observation, somebody says that implementing IBL, is the teacher able to prepare, show, schemes of work, and of course, a lesson plan using the required rubric. That is important, it's a measure. The mode of assessment, how is the teacher able to assess an aspect of a given lesson. So that will show us whether or not they have the competency for the same. I think that input is quite relevant, and it's in line with the various components that the various competencies that define or would show whether or not a teacher has the required knowledge, the required understanding in CBC implementation. Now, having looked at that activity that briefly, we have what we call the teacher professional development planning process. And this is an activity that all of you shall engage in most of the time, because you will have to do some planning. We have an activity here. It reads, using the teacher competence indicators outlined under each of the KEPs, identify areas where you think you have inadequate knowledge and skills. These are self-evaluation kind of activity, whereby you will look at each of the 7 standards, and on a given scale, rate yourself how well versed you are in the demands of that standard, and therefore on the basis of which you will draw an elaborate plan, an elaborate teacher professional development plan that will guide you, and you will navigate through in order to identify the gaps and, of course, to mitigate those gaps as required. I will take you through the various steps that planning would entail, and of course, here we shall take in consideration the specific KEPs indicators that define whichever competency, and identify what the teacher's needs would be as they plan to develop whichever professional development plan that they would come up with. We have the first step, where the school or the teacher undertakes a self-assessment activity where relevant data would be collected to that effect. And here, this, we are told, is the very first stage, and a self-evaluation to identify learning activities for timely professional development is undertaken. And then using a scale of 1 to 3, a teacher or an institution conducts self-assessment in each of the standards and objectively determine the areas they will require to improve on based on a table that I'm just about to project here. I think we shall have a better presentation of it. So this is a professional development plan template, and the first step is that of self-assessment. Undertake self-assessment based on your performance in the previous year. That's one activity you can pick on. How did you perform last year? Undertake a self-assessment based on the standards provided, the KEPs. Now, you can use the rating scale below to assess your competencies in various areas. This is the scale. We have the standard stated on the extreme left, and then we have rating 3, which states my knowledge, skills, and attributes in this competence are very strong. Rating number 2, my knowledge, skills, and attributes in this competence are adequate and could be improved. So there's room to improve. And rating scale 1, my knowledge, skills, and attributes in this competence need to be the focus of my professional development. So number 1 is about a gap. Number 2 is about a presence of the standard, but still room for improvement. Standard 3 is actually a strong level of attainment of that competency having been achieved. So we have the various standards provided. This is a very good sample of what we could do. The first standard, promote professionalism through the career. Like for us now, how would we rate ourselves? Because this standard, at least we have some component of this standard. Can we rate ourselves as 1, 2, or 3 yet? You would decide. A very objective observation about, opinion about the standard, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on and so forth, as we have outlined. So that would be it. The second step would be identification of the professional competency gap. Where is the gap? What is the gap, ideally? It is not easy to make a positive move unless we have identified the area of need. So identification of the need is what we shall require. After identifying the professional competence gaps, the teacher proceeds to identify the chapter in the relevant TPD module that addresses the identified gaps. Here again, we told you that we have every support material that would give you the necessary direction anytime you require it. So what is key is about identifying the gap and then finding out the chapter, the module that contains, that addresses that aspect within the modules that are provided to you on the e-learning platform. Now, the self-assessment rating should guide you to in identifying the gaps. We have talked about the rating. Rating 1 and 2 requires some professional training program that, of course, would guide you on what to do. Gaps can also be based on the performance indicators for the kept standards. Those standards have a number of indicators, and those indicators would be our key fallback in judging and rating ourselves. The gaps can also be based on learners' performance in your teaching subjects or your subject areas. What is the performance like? Which areas are they not achieving significantly? What strategies am I using? Which other alternative strategies are in place or can I fall back to in making the lesson or the subject area more interesting? And of course, registering improvement, measurable improvement. Step 3 would be professional development action plan. After you've identified the gaps, you're going to make an action plan. This determines the appropriate chapter of the module and activity for professional development and action plan. Yes, you've now identified whichever area or rather whichever module area that contains whichever gap that you indeed have identified. So what's the action plan? What is the roadmap in addressing that deficiency? You should propose how you intend to address the performance gap you have identified in the self-assessment that you will have identified, you will have come up with. We have an example action plan that is provided here. I know it's late, I know you are tired, but ideally you must have the objective and which action to take, and of course the success measures or indicators, the target date as to when you want that objective to be to have been achieved. For example, an objective of this kind: to further develop my knowledge and skills on communicating with learners, parents, colleagues, and the community. So that is an objective derived from a gap that was identified in a self-assessment. Which action are we going to undertake? We say undertake TPD level chapter 1, level 1, chapter 1 on professionalism. Another strategy is to enroll for a short course of effective communication. Yes, communication can be a challenge sometimes, and unless we settle it, we may not make a big move. Which are the success measures? Of course, the indicators will be certification in whichever course that in the TPD course that you will have completed, and also certification of participation in the communication course that you'll have undertaken. A timeline is provided. Enhance my knowledge in ICT integration, like that's where we are to be, all of us. Even for us facilitators, we have identified some gaps which we shall work on, and we shall have some action taken in that direction. We shall have targets and success indicators or measures provided. I think that is sufficient. That's how an action plan would look like. Participants, it's a thing we shall make available to you so that you can fall back to it and use it accordingly. Step 4, assessment of teacher action plan by instructional leader. Now, you've made a plan, you impact on that, on implementation of that action plan, and you need somebody else, a second eye, to look at it and evaluate the milestones that you have made far as the action plan is concerned. Now, the assessment of the teacher TPD action plan is actually to ensure that the goals are specific, the chosen activities, the chosen programs are appropriate to address the teacher's competency gaps, and also make recommendations and approval of implementation of the plan. You've drawn a plan, let somebody input on the same to help you know whether the plan would work, the plan would have any incremental kind of aspect or not. They will guide you, they'll give you more ideas, they will redirect you appropriately so that that plan actually becomes operational and useful to your professional development as a teacher. The 5th step will be development of a report on TPD. The teacher is required to develop a TPD report detailing performance gaps that were to be addressed and the general outcomes of intervention measures undertaken. The report should consist of the following. I think this is important, participants, because all of us shall have to undertake this. The title of the professional development program that you are undertaking, the objectives of the program or the activity that you undertake, you purpose to undertake, you undertook, what you learned from the program or from the activity through the period provided, what was your contribution to the success of the program? What is it that you do? What strategies did you put in place to make it succeed? How will the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes, be used to address the gap that existed. So was it successful? Was it not? Do we have to review or to redo the plan? Or which other gap would you want to address after successfully addressing whichever gap that you had indeed identified? So those are the various steps that you would undergo when addressing a given gap that has been identified as a measure for teacher professional development action plan. Now, I think what I have mentioned is just what the slides are all about. Identification of the gaps. 3 was professional development action plan, which we have looked at. Step 4 was assessment of the teacher's action plan by instructional leader. The instructional leader will have to find out whether the goals are specific, they are measurable, whether the goals will improve the teacher or not, whether the goals are integrated with the competency indicators, the various steps of the action plan, whether they are clearly outlined or not. They will advise on this, you on the same. Is it realistic? Is it manageable? Is it achievable? Those parameters shall be looked into. Which assessment strategies are in place towards achieving the goals and the action plan that is in place? Are they appropriate? The learning resources to accomplish the same, are they clearly identified? Are they workable? And so on and so forth. Then the report, I've talked about it. I've given the structure of that report. And this report is required to develop a TPD, a document that details whichever gaps that the teacher had and the intervention measures that were undertaken and whether or not those measures worked for the teacher. We have a diagram, representing the same. And of course, from step 1 to step 5, the same thing that we have talked about, not very different, ladies and gentlemen. From step 1, this is fairly small, you may not see it, but it is still the step 1 to step 5, where a report is generated after going through the gap identification, self-evaluation, identification of the gap, the action plan, assessment by the instructional leader, and generating the report. These steps are to be well understood, well followed, because they are to become practical when we embark on this gap identification. Now, we have an end of chapter assignment. Study the KEPs and their indicators above and identify one standard where you feel you currently require more knowledge and skills about. You can also, following the steps given above, draw a professional development support plan in one of the of your teaching subjects that can address the gaps you have identified. And then you're asked to explain how your plan can be operationalized in a school-based TPD program. Post your responses on the e-learning platform that we introduced to you to the other day, so that other people can also share and know about what provisions, what options are available in undertaking the various gaps that could be identified. Reflections, fill in the blank spaces using your reflective journal. I learned that. What is it that you have learned? Do a reflection of today's sessions and clearly itemized what you feel you have learned. This will form part of our recap for our next lesson on Friday. Part B, I need to learn more about 1, 2, 3. What do you think you require to learn more about? That state it clearly just before you go to bed, ladies and gentlemen. And perhaps at that level, I may request that we come to the end of the day's presentation, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank my facilitator, Dr. Felicitas, a very good teacher, very clear, very systematic. I trust we have enjoyed it all. Thank you so much, Madam Nancy, for your technical support and your guidance. I trust that tomorrow, on Friday, we shall get right what did not go so well during today's presentation. The ICT gaps here and there by your facilitators. The facilitators will continue improving. We are also drawing our action plan right away so that we work on it and have it put right before the next presentation time. Otherwise, thank you very much. I want my two colleagues to make brief remarks in the interest of time. We are about, some minutes out of the schedule. And then Madam Nancy, you will identify for us a participant that will pray for us as we end this day of presentation.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. I can see some hands are raised up. I don't know whether we check on them or we just proceed. We have for John Chakoya.
I think we can leave that for the next
Friday
session to start with. Yeah, I want to believe that because you can see we are even at 77. Most people have left. Yeah, so we leave them for plenary session next time.
Okay, thank you. On my part, what I can tell the participants is even the assessment points or questions or assignments you've been taken through by Mr. Morris, you will get them detailed where you can have a close look at them in the WhatsApp groups. You're going to be sent all the notes in the WhatsApp groups and you will be able to have a close look at them from that point. Others on the share screen, it's a bit fast and it's just a point of discussion and highlighting to you on what you should do. Others, time is not on our side and bundles are also getting finished. So for today, let me say good night and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, so much. Echoed by Nancy and Mr. Akala. I also just want to wish you well.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, colleagues, for that. I also must take note of the fact that as I read the chat, many people are experiencing connectivity problems. Those are learning experiences, colleagues. I want us to reposition ourselves appropriately during our next session so that we are able to run with the rest. Otherwise, allow me to request that John Chakoya, I've seen your hand is up. Kindly give us a closing prayer. Madam Nancy will enable you to do the prayer.
Mr. Morris, who?
Yes, that is John Chakoya.
Okay, let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the session that you have carried through. You have enabled us to learn more and more how we are going to facilitate our learners. I thank you, Lord, for assisting our facilitators to carry us through. Lord, we pray that next time when we meet, let us meet and share the same knowledge. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.